We all live through the same things, trials and tribulations, and even the little things. That's why I added this year, it was Vincent the Coparazzi Conversations. Now it's Vincent the Coparazzi Conversations and Everydayism, which would mean like if you stubbed your toe and that bothered you yesterday, or something political bothered you, or you were in traffic and something that was on your mind that was so silly and so stupid, but you want to get it off your chest, and everybody thinks about it. So I'm going to start today with my everydayism, so that my guest, and I'll introduce him after we do the everydayisms. I'm going to start. I did it on my first show, and I'm going to continue it on the second show because I've seen so much down here. Pets in restaurants and stores and supermarkets and everywhere else. It just drives me crazy because I had been a pet owner, and to me, I believe pets belong in their home. Does a dog really want to sit under your feet at a restaurant and bother people and people bothering them? I don't think so. But I guess it's a state. I never really came across it in New York that often, but down here it's everywhere I go. But again, it means nothing, solves nothing, but maybe somebody out there has the same pet peeve. Now, my guest today is Joseph. As you can see, we used to call him Joe Fats in the old neighborhood. He has a lot of friends, knows a lot of people, has a lot of opinions, and that's what this show's about, just opinions. And he's going to say you have a pet peeve, Joe? Something you read about today bother you, or yesterday, or
just stupidity in general. Just when people just act stupid.
Like, give an example.
Like on the cell phone when they're trying to pay for something at the grocery store.
That's a legitimate pet peeve.
That, people that just don't care.
More so when they're driving.
Do whatever they want to do. Don't give a.
They don't care about other people. We talked about that, my first guest, previous that you came on, because, like you said, people are on their cell phone while they're driving. Obviously, is one of the worst. But there's no consideration. I should have actually come up with another idea because I just got off a flight a few days ago, and you want to talk about pet peeves? We could discuss people on a plane, but that's for another time. But
who gets up and just starts walking?
Yeah, the reason for everydayisms is so people like Joey, people like me, maybe someone watching will say, you know what, I had that same thing happen to me, and we're all in a commune of thoughts.
I think a lot of people have that issue.
Yeah, with everything. Sometimes, how many times have you?
Where you going?
Yeah, so many times. How many times have you said, "Am I the only one that goes through this? Am I the only one that sees this?" It's universal. All right, so moving on. My guest, who coincidentally is my brother.
Yes, that's 100% correct.
And he's got a lot to say, and I'm gonna just let him introduce himself and maybe come up with a topic he'd like to talk about. If not, we'll just chew the shit after he introduces himself. He'll tell you what he does, how he likes South Florida, and he's new here and all that. Go ahead, Joe. Take it away.
All right. So I'm Joey Simone from Flushing, Queens. Moved out to Long Island. Had a nice route business. Got rid of my route. Sold my house. Came down to South Florida for the beautiful weather. Low taxes. And not to get political, but it's beautiful down here. Mr. DeSantis is the man. But, so we're down here now, and I've been down here like over a year. Just learning things. I'm doing Uber down here a few days a week. I got a nice little car service I'm doing, and meeting a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, different countries, different states.
Well, you've been coming to Florida for a long time, though, longer than I have.
Oh, yeah, I've been coming to Florida since the 80s. I used to move furniture, me and my boy Mitch. He still does it.
Yeah, he still does it.
Yeah, I know Florida was nothing out west. University Drive was it, man.
Well, we were talking on my last segment about the real estate and how Pompano Beach has just been expanding to unbelievable lengths where you can't even drive your car sometime in the day.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm doing
and as an Uber driver, how far east and west, north and south do you go?
I go West Palm Beach to Hollywood. Very rarely go to Miami. For my regular customers, I go down to Miami, to the airport, maybe the port. Other than that, it's
right.
Miami's like New York. It's just overpopulated, a lot of construction, just no work going down.
Right, and your reason for moving here is mostly the weather, you think?
The weather, yeah. I just had to get away. And, work. I don't want to do work like that anymore. 6 days a week, you know what I mean? 60, 70 hours. I was just done with it.
I don't blame you.
Come down here, make my own hours, and do it,
Wonderful. Wonderful. And we left a lot of people behind in New York, but slowly.
Left a lot of people behind. I
Slowly,
go back a lot, but I go back like
yeah, we
6,
both
7
do.
times
We
a year.
both do. Yeah, we go back a lot, but this is our home base now, and we hope to take off with the show. I'm sure my brother will be on a lot more often. I'm going to segue into relationships, brother, because. Because that's what I'm going to do the first few shows. I actually did my first show that way, and I'm going to do my next couple from people from my group. So I don't know, I didn't ask you, it's your opinion. Do you find it difficult to meet people down here?
No, there's a lot of people down here. I mean, to meet people that you want to date, that might be a little harder.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Because it's just when you go out, you're not going out with a group. It's more like you need to go out and meet people. Just like one-on-one. Usually we used to go out back in New York. You go out with 5 people,
right,
8 people. You meet, you know what I mean?
Well, we did that last night.
Right, and that's why it was a good night last night.
Right.
Last night I was with somebody.
Saturday night, yeah, or whatever. And but it is easier, I suppose, when you're with a group.
With a lot of people, yeah, because you're having a good time and you're pulling people into the crowd. It's different,
Right, and you don't have to take control. You don't have to take control. Like if I'm talking to you, if you're a woman, I'm talking to, but I got 2 guys on either side of me. The attention drifts a little bit, so I don't have to worry about me being the sole person that.
And then maybe your friend will talk to somebody who's got a friend, and
Yeah, it's the old line. And people might wonder, well, what are you 12-timers going out still for? Well, that's unfortunately or fortunately the way of the world. In South Florida, there are many, many places for seniors to socialize.
Absolutely.
And communicate with other people. Now, my brother, I know for sure, doesn't believe in the online dating, no?
Absolutely not.
And we went through that with my other guests. Online dating.
I've never been on a date online. Ever.
You've never
went on one. I've dabbled on websites, and everybody who hits on me or whatever likes me, I'm not liking on them. So it's just like.
Yeah, well, you never paid a full price for a dating site.
Never.
No, and I don't blame you. And
I need to meet somebody.
And again, I'm not disparaging dating sites, but I think there's a new survey that came out, or surveys, that they're not as successful as people think. I know a handful of people that have met their spouse or significant other on a dating site.
They say you can't meet people in clubs, but how many people do I know met people in clubs and got married? I can speak for myself.
Well, that's it. You got to speak for yourself. There are many people that have met.
Every person I've been in a relationship with, I met in the club.
And I tell you what, according to surveys, bars are still in the top 3 places to meet people. So it's not. I mean, so when people tell you, you're not going to meet the right person in a bar, you're not going to. It's everything is based on you and the person you meet, and that's I think what people should realize and remember, because you can't take it out of context.
Also, with the online dating, every date's a first date. You know what I mean? You pick them
every
up,
date's a first date.
Now you sit at the table and you have like 15-minute conversation. You realize.
I don't like this person.
I like this person.
And
I might be attracted to her, but we have nothing. You know what I mean?
And it's the same question.
At least when you're in a club, you meet somebody, you got the physical attraction, plus you're already conversating, you already know about the person.
100%. 100%.
So your second date is, off the table already. The first date's off the table already.
No. Again, I'm not here to make fun of dating sites. I've been on them.
Never met people get married on dating sites. To each their own. Listen. To each their own. Right? Everybody's got an agenda.
Everybody has an agenda. They feel it's a safe way. And now the scam with dating sites is, other than the legitimate sites, the big name ones you see on TV, they're coming out with a lot of little loosies, like, join the tiki bar dating site, whatever you want to call it.
Right, there's a million
and there's a million of them, and it's all scams. They let the women go on for free because that's how they draw the men in. And many times, from what I'm being told, is it's not even a woman on the other end. It's just a robot. An AI, believe it or not, an AI transformed person that will answer the questions generically, that will answer your text and messages immediately, and it's very transparent. But what I discussed previously was it's just not a good thing for, there's a lot of lonely people out there. They used to call it the Lonely Hearts Club. And a lot of people.
You're lonely because you're sitting home on
Yeah,
your computer.
but a lot of
Get
people are
out there,
being.
go have a cocktail.
Well, some people don't drink.
Or have a glass of water, dude. I don't drink that much either.
Well, there's a catch-22 with that,
Just
too.
get out of the house. I mean.
Well, that's why they're on the
Just get out
sites.
of the
They want to
house.
get out of the house without having to go to a club or a bar.
That's just being lazy, man. Just get out, dude. Or lady, whatever.
I mean,
Go out with your friends to dinner. Don't say you got to go to a club and sit at the bar and try to get picked up or pick somebody up. Go out to dinner.
yeah.
Get
well,
out of the house.
Yeah, the saying is if you don't go out and hunt, it'll come to you naturally if you're not looking. Who knows? No, this is an age-old question. We talked about it before. The dynamics between men and women are very difficult. The divorce rate is very high. Problems with parenting. There's just a time of craziness, unless all the social media outlets are full of shit. But that's what I've been seeing on Instagram, on TikTok.
I don't do a lot of social media.
No, you don't. I wouldn't do it if I
don't
didn't
do
have
Facebook.
some kind of artistic motive. I don't go on every day and take pictures of my food and say, "Look what I have for dinner tonight." And that's crazy. And the girls do that a lot. You ever
On
go?
my way to the gym.
Yeah, you ever go on a date and the girl's snapping pictures of her dinner while you're sitting there, and I'm like, really? Does it matter? And I'm sure today with the snowstorm in New York, there's a million posts about the snow. But that's an outlet. Meeting in person is an outlet. And again, there's no rhyme or reason. It's just a discussion on what people are trying to do and do. And because I read up on this and I see the statistics, it's not a healthy statistic. So a lot of men and women are afraid to meet their soulmate or whatever you want to call it because they're afraid of.
I just don't even understand the whole thing. I'm going out tonight because I want to meet the person of my dreams.
Why don't you understand that?
Because why don't you just go out and have a good time? And whatever happens, happens. I mean, I don't get
Because
it.
that's why people go out, though.
No, I'm saying, but when you go out, you're
Don't
like,
you go out in the back of your mind hoping to meet someone?
Not my soul. I don't know if I'm looking.
No,
at
you know what I didn't mean it. I didn't mean
You
it.
go out and look and meet somebody because it's good to have somebody in your life. But
Yeah, but that's why we've been going out for 100 years.
yeah, we've been in 100 different relationships,
Yeah.
divorced, married.
Well, yeah. Well, a lot of people can attest to that. Me being one. Well, let me ask you if because I'm speaking of going out, meeting different people, and spending time with different people. Do you judge women on that basis?
As far as what going on,
Body count. In other words, if a woman told you
I
she,
wouldn't even know. I wouldn't ask.
you don't care.
No, I don't ask. I don't care. I mean,
So you
whatever.
don't care as far as even if you could
That's what I'm
fall in
saying.
love with a
That's what
woman
I'm
that has a
saying,
high
dude.
body count.
Ask no questions, you'll get no lies.
I
and-
agree.
and
That's
it.
100%. That's 100% agreeable.
Are they going to sit there and ask us how many women we've been with?
Well,
or
because
whatever?
men, it's different. We know that.
No, but I'm just saying, in general.
They don't ask. No, they don't ask.
Right.
But that's
Why
been a
would you
big
ask?
thing.
I've
You're
never-
not on.
I've never asked a woman how many men you slept with, ever.
I have.
You figures.
But I'm a
'Cause
negative
that could
guy.
ruin it. Well, she tells you 100. What are you gonna
Well,
do?
then I know that the ring is not in the future.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say.
But we talked about that on my last show because my guest on my last show didn't really care. And I asked him that. I said, well, what if it is 100? I mean, how is that person, how can you trust that person to be capable of loving you? He goes, it's you and that person. You don't go by the past or the future or anything else. And I kind of agreed with him a little bit. I mean, if you fall,
Anyway,
but if you got a little psychosis like I do, things are going to bother you.
Right.
And just like
see, nothing really bothers me.
my psychosis might bother them.
Right.
So it's
You think?
so it's two half, one half dozen of the other. But so as a New Yorker, do you see a difference in the dating scene?
Well, down here, you have a lot of older women who are like divorced. You know what I mean? So they're either scorned or happy because they took half their ex-husband's belongings.
Mhm.
So you meet different women. You can meet the miserable ones who
And how many dates would you think before you You might like them, let's say. No, I'm not talking about the other. In other
I
words, if let's say you didn't
Me, if I take you on a date, that means I already met you before. That means I like you.
that's a
I'm not
great.
just gonna take anybody out. No, I'm not. No.
And
I'm
do
not
you
the kind of guys that give me your number and I call. You know what I mean?
and do you think they're afraid of men in that respect? Like, I don't want to get close to a man after.
Some women, 100%, because there are some fucked up guys out there
There are guys out there that will definitely
who aren't honest.
who aren't honest.
Like women, and women who aren't honest too.
There are women that aren't honest as well, which is harder for me to believe. I know men are not honest. I mean, but I'm also older now, so I mean, young men especially, they got the world at their feet.
That now, yeah.
I mean, you know, if you and I were in our 20s or 30s, we'd be kicking it, man. You know, I mean, but
Who knows? Maybe you meet somebody and you would have got married again. Never know.
well, yeah, that's a big one, man. As of right now, I don't know. I was explaining to someone recently that half of me, of course, doesn't want to grow old and be alone, but the other half of me enjoys my privacy, enjoys my aloneness, you know, enjoys my going to a restaurant and
You
not.
need to meet somebody who has a life of their own too. That's the only thing too. You
I
can't-
agree with that
you
as well.
Both can't have me.
Can you
for
tell
myself.
if they have drama right away? If you're talking right away and let's say you meet someone tonight and you're talking for 2 hours, can a red flag pop up to you right away?
It depends how really straightforward they are, but not really, you know, because most women don't want you to know their drama. They try to hide it. So
In the beginning.
right? So at the beginning it could be hard, but the ones who automatically show the drama off the bat, you know what you're getting. So
I understand. Do you have a type? Do you like a special type of woman? Hair, face, ethnicity?
dark hair,
Right.
dark skin. I
Right.
mean, you know, like olive, you know, like
Right.
Italianish, Greek, Spanish, you know, some kind of dark
But
skin.
you're not opposed to blonde, blue eyes, and
No,
no.
it's different. I'm not opposed to anything.
Some people are. There's all you know.
If I like you, I like you.
I mean, we get stingy, and
I've dated blondes. I've dated brunettes.
and I'm going to blame women more in this category. I've talked to women that have said, if he doesn't have this, or he doesn't have that, or he doesn't have this, you know, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, you know,
right.
you know, and I'm not disparaging women. I'm not a misogynist, but a lot of women want a man that's very successful.
Well, I think they need to have their own success too, especially at this point in life. You
No,
don't
but
need to
some
be-
of them
you don't
want
need-
that-
They don't need to be leeching onto a guy at this point.
But
in
they
their
do.
life. I'm just saying. Well, who wants
But-
that? Nobody wants that. You want somebody who's going to.
And again, I'm sure there's men that leech onto wealthy women, but
Of
that's
course,
not the subject.
100%.
Again,
for another time.
That's for another time. I'm just chewing this stuff about being down here in a new life, new venue, and
It's different down here too because it's all year long. In New York, you're really bottled up in your house. In the wintertime, you like to have a girl because it's winter. You're not really going out. But
there's
down
more
here, it's
happy hours.
Oh,
There's
so much to do down here all day long. You can go to anywhere. Happy hours are always the beach. There's always things going on down here.
Do you get any feedback from customers in your cab? Do they complain or not complain, or do you
Everybody loves it down here. Most people I get are on vacation. You know what I mean? Except for my regular customers, like people, because I do the airport a lot, so I'm getting people from different countries, different states.
That's good, man.
Basically, I mean, it's all the same thing. You know, everybody's just looking to have happiness. Bottom line, whatever makes you happy. If it makes you happy being with somebody who's rich, makes you happy being with somebody who's poor, you know, a blonde, a brunette, whatever.
Agreed.
Like I said, you both have to get the agenda. You both have to be on the same page on whatever you're doing. You know,
Well, that's what I meant. When people are in
physical attraction has got to be a must. You can't
chemistry's a
tell me,
must.
Yeah, you can't tell me you're going to date a girl because she got a great personality or a guy. I don't know. I just don't see that.
You hear it, but it's really not true.
I don't know how it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, again, folks, we're just chewing the crap about relationships. You probably all have your own opinions. I'm starting new with the podcast, so I wanted to make.
How many women look at a man who's divorced and be like, "Oh, look at this guy. He's divorced.
I don't know.
Couldn't keep a relationship." Or look at a guy who's never been married or dates a lot.
I
Look at
think
this
it's
guy.
the
All he
sick.
wants to do is
How
date.
many men look
So
at
look-
women who have never married at 50 years old? Say, how could this woman never been married at 50 years
See,
old?
I don't look at it that way because especially if I'm talking to the person, because maybe she might have been 10 years like me. I was in a lot of long-term relationships. Maybe you go for a lot of years and the guy and you just don't make it work after whatever 10 years, 8 years. Before you know it, you're 40, bro.
Well, see, we've given it to you straight, and here's a man who don't care about your past or whatnot. And when you get to be older, you really shouldn't be as choosy. But it's again, I
Well, it's
believe.
not being choosy. I mean, you just want to be with somebody you want to be with. It's not being choosy.
Yeah, but the point is, the millions and billions of people in the world, to find that one person is still difficult.
Very difficult. That's why a lot of people are single. And a lot
You
of
know, the
people are
divorce
divorced.
rate, 56%. It's
A lot of people get married, and I ain't got to tell you about this.
You
ain't
don't
about
have to
that.
tell me
Right.
about that.
You know what I mean? You're married, and after years, your kids are out of the house before you know it.
well. How about give us a little insight? Tell the viewers, recommend a few places or areas. We don't want to promote bars or clubs. Recommend some areas for people. Now, me and my brother are in
like
the
I
same
said,
age group.
Florida's so big. There's so many. I mean, basically, I like going up by Boca and Delray area. I think down in Fort Lauderdale's more younger, especially with doing Uber. I see where the groups fly, where they lean. And then you got the beachy scene. You can go hang out with shorts and a t-shirt.
Like
down
the
by
tiki bar scene.
Tiki bars are down by Lauderdale by the sea, and just put piers, Pompano piers, and places like that. And then if you want to go like dress up, you go up to Delray. They got a bunch of places on Atlantic Avenue. Boca's got a couple of spots up there.
Well, so you're pretty much happy down here.
I love it down here. I'll never go back. I go back.
Well,
6,
there
7
you
times
go,
a
and
year.
and you can hear it
I
in
was
his
just
voice.
in New
He's
York
a
for
real.
Christmas, and I got stuck up there. I had to rent the car and drive home because my flight was canceled for 3 days, and I didn't want to stay in New York 3 more days. That's how much I wanted to get out of there. I rented a car and I drove home.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I stayed and waited for another
You stayed
airplane.
and waited. I'm like, I got to get out of here, dude.
Well,
I couldn't wait to get back down Saturday night, have a cocktail.
That's a terrible drive, though, for certain people.
It wasn't bad. I did it in 19
I mean, you
hours.
did it straight through.
19 hours.
Yeah, man.
Hammered down. Uncle Mitch taught me how to do it.
Uncle Mitch. Now, let me ask you, do you miss anything about New York?
I miss my friends and my family.
What about generically? Do you miss...
Food, good pizza, some good chinito
You don't think
food.
there's good pizza here anyway? I think there is.
It's all right.
When people say it's totally sucks,
No, it doesn't suck. It's okay.
And
Bagels are terrible. You can't find a good bagel, bro. I'm sorry.
bagels are soft.
Yeah, they're terrible.
Yeah.
Even the ones that say Brooklyn Bakery or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I usually don't get them from there anyway. I'm not a big bagel eater, but
Once in a while.
I do like a nice cinnamon raisin bagel with
I
cream
can
cheese.
promote a good place in Fort Lauderdale, Mitch's Deli. Makes a good bagel. Locks.
Okay. Well, what I'd like my viewers to understand is that there's life after New York, obviously, and Joseph
Much better down here.
has lived a complete full life
It's
in New
cheaper
York.
down here. It's cheaper. The property taxes down here are nothing like back in Long Island.
Well, it's not cheaper.
Well,
Let's not say cheaper. Maybe by what? Like even
if you're paying $20,000 in property taxes in New York, you're paying maybe $7,000, $8,000 down here.
not for a house, you're not.
Yeah.
Well,
Not on the water, but you're not living on the water for $10,000, $18,000 either in New York.
No, you're not. You're not living up there either.
And you only got one tax. You only got the federal tax down here. You got no city tax, no state tax
For
on your
now.
paycheck.
For now.
Right.
And what else, man?
And
Come on.
you don't have to buy winter clothes.
No, but then you got to throw away a lot of good clothes you owned. I have a closet full of clothes from New York. I've been down here 5 years, haven't even worn them yet.
I know.
I might as well just give them to Goodwill or something because I like to change the weather only for that reason.
But you go up
For the clothing
if you go
and
up
for
to
the
New York
styles.
enough, you're okay, man. You know what I mean? If you
Yeah.
go for all the holidays. I go up for the summertime for a week. Opening day for the Mets.
Okay, cool. So there you have it. You have someone down here, and there's many more like him who actually love it. I like it. I don't love anything. I'm a negative guy. It's hard for me to say the word love. But it is definitely a difference. Like sitting here right now, I have shorts.
It's sort of like a little bit like starting over down here because you don't have the whole, you don't have your whole crew like in New York.
There's
In
the
New York,
premise that I wanted to get to, that you could be sick in your 60s and start over.
Right, down
So
here?
you don't have to say, oh, my friends are married and my job is over 40. I was there 30 years, 40 years. What do I do now? You actually do start over when you move to South Florida or West Florida.
Because you have to start meeting all whole new people. That's what I'm saying. If you got a couple of people you hang out with, you could pull people in. There are some people down there I do know from New York.
You can pull them in, yes. You don't have to stay on your computer the whole time. And that was the idea of the conversation with the online dating as opposed to meeting someone in person. Meeting someone in person is definitely beneficial. But
And I can't do these coffee dates either, bro.
well, I see. There's the thing, though.
I can't do
There's the thing. The coffee dates. A lot of men like coffee dates because it saves them money.
Okay, so there's your issue right
In other
there.
words, if you met a
there's
girl,
the issue right there. You're worried about spending money. Why are you even going on the date with the girl?
well, I'm in your ballpark.
I'm just saying.
If I go out and meet a girl, I'm saying right away you want to go out to dinner.
Exactly.
A friend of ours will say, let's meet for coffee.
Yeah, well, that's-
And some of those dinners might not work out, but so what? You ate your meal.
what, but you
So
had-
what? You ate your
right,
meal and
you-
you had a conversation with someone that
somebody-
might be smart, that might give you some kind of
somebody that you
insight
like,
into
somebody
something.
you like looking at across the table.
Right. Or again, you might like their brain. They might give you information that you like to know. It's all circumstance. But
Teach their own.
to each their own, man. So we have a group of people that live down here that we associate with, and they seem to love it. My
With
brother.
me, I can tell right off the bat
About what?
if I can get along with somebody. If I'm in a club and I start talking at the bar, within 20 minutes, I know we can go out for dinner.
Yeah.
If not, I won't even. I just won't even entertain it.
Well, I think that's most people, but what goes on years ago still goes on, though. In other words, I mean, in ancient Rome, it probably went on. You meet a girl, she might like you for the first 5 minutes, might not, vice versa, and then there's the ghosting starts. If they decide, well, I really didn't want to go out with that person. So that's the thing that a lot of people, where the rejection gets to them. In other words, you talk to someone for a half hour, an hour, 2 hours, and I'd like to see you again, and then you call and you get no answer. That still goes on.
Yeah, because people just, I don't know. I don't get that either. I don't even know why, like, you give your number to somebody if you don't want to go out. I mean, just don't give your number. It's so
But that
simple.
still goes.
So
maybe,
simple,
maybe,
right? Don't say, here's my number, and then you don't want to go out. Just, what are you doing? I mean, just.
yeah, I'll never understand that.
Plus, sometimes I like to give my number out, not because I don't want to call you, because it's like, I'm going to give you my number, and I got to worry about when you're going to call me, this, that,
Right.
whatever.
So what do you think of podcasting?
I don't know. I'll let you know after I look at
I'll
this.
tell you why. Because there's a million podcasters. I'm not going to pretend to think it's going to shoot to number one. I mean, if you went to the podcasting channel on Sirius, there's so many. It's try to find a niche and try to find a common ground. My common ground, like I said, I want it to be everydayism, everyday people that just want to talk about something that they think is only on their mind, and it could be on everybody else's mind, and they feel a little better. Especially when you get into the deep subjects.
What we need to do is get girls at the table.
We will next one. You're going to
So
bring them for me, right? Why not?
I'm just saying, this way we can get. While we're talking, they can rebut with us.
They could
be like,
rebut.
wait a
Well,
minute.
this is my first day back.
Right.
I was I had an audio podcast for several years ago, and then I had the health misfortune. So as we progress and as we move forward, I hope to get enlightened by many people.
And in
that-
reality, nobody really knows who you're dating. Like you're saying, how many people they slept with. How do you really know?
You never know.
You never know.
You never know. But
So
it does.
That's why it shouldn't even be an issue, because you're never gonna.
Well,
know.
I made it an issue here
Somebody's
because
gonna stand there and tell you, I slept with 100 guys.
sometimes I scroll and it seems to be a common thread what people are talking about.
People are really asking that question.
Oh yeah, man.
But do they expect to get a straight answer?
Well, if they get
I
an
mean,
answer,
if you're a girl or even a guy, and you know the girl doesn't like a guy who sleeps around, or vice versa, are you really? So you're starting your relationship in a lie right off the bat,
yeah.
because you're lying about. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the common denominator that all you folks will realize, that we all have the same satisfactions or dissatisfactions.
There's people who've been married for 40 years. There's people who never got married. It's what it is.
Yeah, and we're gonna have some interesting people going down the line.
I can get a lot of people.
Yeah, we're gonna-
Just
we're
through
go-
my
we're-
care, my through my car service. I can get
I just, as you could tell, I'm stuttering a little. So no matter how many times I'm at this game, and I did have an audio show, I just get nervous in front of things. I wanted to be an actor when
What
I
are you
was.
gonna do when you got two strippers over here?
What am I going to do when I have two strippers over here? I'm going to be nervous asking them the questions, and we will have them, by the way.
Oh, that's a given.
They will be
They're
on my
part
show.
of the scene down here.
No,
I mean, they go out like they're like normal. Listen,
I mean, there's the bit.
strippers are entertainers.
Me and my brother always
that's
cut
their
each other
job,
off.
dude. That's their job. They're strippers. They're entertainers. They make a living like that. Whatever. You know.
Yes.
It's not.
We have so many. Me and my brother have. We know so many people down here, and are so not affected by what they do or what they were or what they can do. When you live in New York,
Because it's so hard to meet somebody that you enjoy hanging out with, having fun, enjoying your life.
no, but even when
be worried
when you're
about-
in New York, you're always under the microscope of somebody.
See, in New York, you don't really see that much. I feel like down here, there's more of that.
There's a lot of freedom down here,
There's more
as your shirt says.
freedom for Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just a different dynamic. And so I hope to have more shows, obviously, become less stuttering, obviously, have my brother as a sidekick on more, and deal with serious issues. I have friends in New York that deal with real serious issues like mental health and 9/11 problems and things like that.
There's a lot of mental health issues out
A
here.
lot of stuff going on, retired policemen, retired firemen. So if you're interested and you like city people and just casually hanging out, please comment on Vincent the Coparazzi on Facebook. Any of your comments, I'll post them all because this is not live. This is going out through tape on YouTube. So, and if you like us, join in us again. Eventually, I'll have a time where maybe you could call in. I haven't gotten to that point yet. Just starting out. I thank you for your patience. I thank you for your enthusiasm. And
It's been fun. It's been real.
it's fun for me. It really is, man.
I
You
can't
know-
wait to see this.
Okay. And say goodbye, Joseph.
Adios, amigos. Hasta la vistas.
Ciao.
Ciao.